Hello, my name is Mark Anthony Dubois Jr., and I was born July 4th, 1986. Today, I want to continue reading something that just stay on the same topic, because in reality, the same topic keeps coming up over and over in this Bible that I just want to keep on speaking about, and that's the adulterous woman. So today I'm going to read this. It's very fascinating. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teachings as an apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on a tablet of your heart. Say to the wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman, with her seductive words. At the window of my house, I looked down through the lattice. I saw among the simple. I noticed among the young men a youth who have no sense. He was going down the street near her corner, walking along in her direction of her house, at twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in. Then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute, and with crafty intent. She was unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares. At other corners she lurks. She took hold of him and kissed him with his brazen face and said, today I have fulfilled my vows, and I have food for my fellowship offering at my house. So I came out to meet you. I looked for you and found you. I covered my bed with colored linen from Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey and has took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon. With persuasive words, she leads him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. All at once followed her like an ox going to slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose till an arrow pierced his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it will cost him his life. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Do not let your heart turn to her ways, or stray into her paths. Many are victims she has brought down. Her slain are a mighty throng. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. That's Proverbs 7. And in reality, Proverbs 6, which I'll talk about probably next week, is the exact same thing. And there's a few more in here, but we'll leave it right there for right now with reading that, because there's something that is very, very interesting about this, because this is something that I've come to have a good understanding of when he says it. He says it very, very straight up in a way that kind of just lets you distinguish the difference right away of who's who. Because right away he says, because I know this, I've seen this, I've been a part of this, and this is something that when I read this, I'm like, wow, what? Like that's real interesting. But it is basically coming down to the fact of these women can't stay at home. They are not people. They are not girls, not women, not females that can stay at home. Their feet can never do that. They have to be down the street. They have to be in the squares. They have to be out. They have to be moving. They have to be anywhere from being inside of the household. And that's something of right away to really pay attention to if you're trying to figure out who it is that you're talking to. You would a woman that just cannot just be satisfied with where she's at. She's got to go here, go this. It's a sense of I need to be seen. I need people to look at me. I need people to recognize me. I need people to be all about me, because they don't have that sense of security inside of themselves, so they're looking for it from somewhere else. And then especially in this, it's very, very damaging in the way of really knowing who is who, because this specific woman in this specific passage and this specific thing is a married woman, or a woman that already has someone who says this is my significant, this is my partner, this is who I'm with, this is my boyfriend, this is this, but yet she still is cool with, oh, he's not here right now, let me go ahead and get something new, let me try something new. And that's something for me that I don't know what it is, but I've tested and challenged and said this and resaid this and said this and asked this and been a part of this for a lot of my life to just really have a good understanding of there's rarely a girl that I've ever met in this lifetime that's my age and below, and my age and even a couple years ahead of me. Anyone that's under the age of 40, I rarely know a female on this planet that just has one guy that they've only spoken to, and they just continue to, and then they cut all the rest out. They always have like an extra one on the side. They always have like a backup plan. They always have like a something to just try to, if this doesn't work out, I know I can go to that right away. And that is some extremely dangerous stuff. And that's some stuff that, if you already noticed that's going on with some girl that you be trying to talk to, that's like a massive red flag beyond red flags to just run the heck away and stay the heck away and don't even consider it as an option. Just don't even consider it as anything that you would ever want to think that you're going to be able to change, that she's going to change, that something's going to change to be able to make her be in a different way. No, it just is what it is. She's just what she is. And there's a lot that goes on that, I mean, I've been a part of this, that I know what you were doing, but you're not going to do that anymore when you're with me. And that is far from the truth. If what is it you're doing and you don't want to get out of it your own self, and if she wants to stay in doing what she's doing, you're just headed down a path of never finding any sort of peace, but in reality, getting yourself into being a very sticky situation. Because especially if you're messing with someone that already has a husband, you're headed down a very, very dangerous path. Very dangerous path. Because that woman is going to say some things to you and try to make it sound like it's okay and he doesn't care and this and that. And, you know, she's still married and she's like, oh, we're just separated and it's okay. You know, he's not going to care and it doesn't really matter. And it does matter. It does, because you're not speaking to that guy. Now, if you go and speak to that guy and you guys are cool, you already should not mess with that, because you already know what she's going to do to you later on in reality. But you have to know for a fact what's going on here. Because if you got someone coming up to you saying, oh, don't worry about him. Don't worry about that. Just come along with me and I'm all that matters and that person doesn't matter. You're going to end up exactly how this says is leading down to the chambers of death. It's your highway to the grave. That's exactly what it says, and that's exactly what's going to go down, and that's exactly what's going to happen, because you're not going to ever be able to be satisfied. And at the same time, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder. You're going to be looking over your shoulder not only just as a physical threat of like, oh my goodness, there might be a guy coming up behind me to try to get me, but as a spiritual threat of something that's going to always come try to attack you because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're breaking so many commandments, and not just committing adultery, but you're also stealing, and you're also lying, and you're also coveting your neighbor. You're doing so many things. You're just being so destructive on so many aspects here, and not just the one. And that's why up front it says, my son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teachings as an apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers and write them on the tablet of your heart. This is something that God says so many times over and over and over again. To keep up his commandments, to store them in your mind, to write them down, to pay attention to them, to keep meditating on them, to keep learning about them, to keep memorizing them, to keep them always around you at all times, so that you know how to be able to move forward in this planet, in this world. Because there's going to be some things that are going to come to you that you are not going to put your own self in, but someone is going to try to convince you to get into. And that's a lot with these wayward women, these prostitute women, these adulterous women. They're going to pull you into it. They're going to drive you into it, and they're going to say to you like, oh, it's okay, it's acceptable, it's fine, it's normal, it's everything is all right with it. They're going to pull you into it. Not that you even want to go there, but they're going to pull you in, and you need to start to realize and figure out when you're being sucked into something, as opposed to just walking into it. When you walk into problems, you know it. You know you're not supposed to be in a place, in a situation, and you're someone's they got a whole bunch of drugs just hanging out. They're all trying to sell it, and you get in that car knowing what they all have in there. They got guns in there, you're not supposed to have them. They got drugs in there, you're not supposed to have them. They got all this stuff you know you're not supposed to have, and you open that car door up and walk inside. You know what you walked into. You know exactly what you're doing. You didn't get sucked into that. You open the door, it's like, yep, I see it all, and still got inside. That's one thing. Of you being conscious of knowing what you're doing, of pay attention to commands, keep the commands. But there's one thing that does happen, that you get sucked into some things, and it's not so easy. It's easy to get sucked into that same car scenario with the drugs and the money and the guns, but it's much different when it's pushed upon you in a way of, I love you, I like you, I need you, I think you're attractive, I want to be able to spend the time with you. It's much harder to push and get the heck away from that. The sexual sin is one of the hardest things for us as men and women to figure out how to be able to get away from and get out of. It's one of the hardest things to do. It's one of the biggest things that's stated over and over and over so many times in this Bible, that it must be the greatest of the greatest for us to really keep on our minds to look out for, to do our best to stay away from. That it's something about it is really, really powerful. Something about it is really, really dangerous. And something about it is just leading us to a mass level of death, because it is serious and it is hard for us to stay away from. And that is, in reality, one of the things right up front that in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve already having issues with right away. Like that's in reality one of the first things that they were struggling with and having problems with. It was being able to see, get all, and then we're like, oh my goodness, we're naked. The first thing they said to each other was, we're naked. They instantly walked into a sexual sin. That was the first thing that they had to deal with. Then they're going to try to run and scatter and get away and try to clothe themselves so they can come back out. And that was the first issue that they had, and the first issue that they're trying to figure out how to be able to get through. There's something that is very, very destructive about any kind of adultery, any kind of sexual immorality, any kind of sexual sin, any kind of that. There's something that is very, very challenging, and especially with just alone in the Proverbs alone, that God has to continuously keep going through that a few times for us. And in reality, at the beginning half of what's going on that he's saying here, that he's got to say it over and over and over to us, over and over and over again. Hey, watch out for this type of woman. Watch out for this type of guy. Watch out for this type of situation. Watch out for this, and watch out for this, and watch out for this. This must be something very, very, very powerful about it, to make sure that we're staying away from it and doing everything that we can to make sure that we are paying attention to the commands and living by them. And there's some of the commands that may be easier for some, but there's some commands that are harder for all. And that's one that I'm going to say is going to be one of the harder for all, because that's something that every single human being on this planet is desiring and needing and wanting and absolutely having no choice but to want to have. And when it comes down to just looking at animals, again, for instance, when I just see them, see what's going on with them, there's one thing that every single animal out here, this was one of the first dog training things that I've ever helped anybody else out with, and seeing the seriousness of it. I've seen the seriousness of fighting over food, fighting over toys, fighting over owners. But when I saw the seriousness of fighting over the gains of access to be able to have sex, when one of the female dogs came into heat, those two boys, they were killing each other. They were gonna kill each other because they were like, I want that. That was the hardest thing to convince them to get the heck out of than anything else that I've ever experienced in my life. Two of them trying to go over sex, and that happens with everything out here. The roosters are killing for the females for sex. The cows, the bulls are doing that for sex. They're all out here doing that, and they they go to death. And that's exactly what God is stating here in his Proverbs, that it's going to lead to death. It's going to set you to your grave, that it leads to death. The sexual sins, the sexual problems, the sexual drive that everything out here has. It's very, very powerful, and it's something that we should do our best to stay and get the heck away from and get out of. Because nowadays, these women aren't even having to really leave the home to do what they do. They now can just do it inside of their bedroom, and they leave their home by broadcasting it live for anybody to see anywhere in the world. And it's the same thing. It's the same way. It's not that she's a new homebody. No, she's putting herself out for display for the entire world to be able to see and to be able to do whatever they want to with in reality. They may not be able to physically touch, but in most cases in this planet, in this world, it's not even an actual of physically doing something. It's a spiritual aspect of things that go on that we have to pay attention to of what's happening. That if you are lusting so much, you're just desiring so much, you're just needing so much, you're just wanting so much, and you just focusing on that so much, you've already done it, you've already had it, you've already been a part of it. And that's something that we should do our best to stay away from. I'm just going to say straight up how it is. It's a fight. It's a struggle. It's a battle. It's a war. It's going to be the hardest stuff to be out here to work on, to get the heck away from. Especially living in a society today that everything is sexualized. You can't even get clothes. Like, you can't even look at, I was trying to find a couple of new shirts today. I can't even find men's clothes without women's and showing their bodies on everything everywhere. I'm looking for men's shirts now. I'm not looking for a woman's bikini. Like, what does that bikini on that girl have to do next to that guy wearing that shirt? What's the correlation here? What's going on here? What's happening? And it's like everything that we have all around and everywhere we go is so sexualized to just keep you stuck in that and to keep you stuck in that. And I'm telling you, that's all of what the enemy, what the Satan, what the devil, what the all that wants to do, to keep your mind focused on it all the time. You can't watch a commercial about trying to eat some food because you know dang well that these girls don't eat that food, but yet they're putting them on there to display it to try to show you to do it. Then these beer commercials, you know dang well that they don't be drinking that beer to have that figure that they have. They'd be drinking that all the time, every single day, over and over, like, oh, this is fun, this is cool. No, they don't do that. They don't eat those foods. They don't drink that stuff to have to maintain the way that they look and the way that they are. But they're putting them on there for you to just like always have it, always see it, always be about it, never be able to get away from it. I mean, everything today, every single thing. You can't pick up a magazine today and try to look through it and see something that is not sexualized. You can't even pick up a Bible today. They got this new stuff going on now where they got these pictures and all this, and the girls are all naked in it. And they got all this very revealing looking clothes in it. And it's just it's infiltrating absolutely everything out here. And it's infiltrating to the point of having these, man, what do you call that? Get that out. These shows, these street performances, these carnivals, these rallies, all these things going on where people are just naked. And then you're bringing your kids around, showing it to your 3-year-olds and your 5-year-olds and your 8-year-olds and your 12-year-olds and allowing them to see just a high level of nakedness and trying to make that seem like that's appropriate and that's normal and that's fine. That's destroying us. It's destroying more and more and more people. And then today we just wanted to get younger. So young to the point that they might as well just see naked girls and naked guys already at the age of 2 years old and think that that's going to be able to bring them up, to give them a good life. That's going to challenge them for the remainder of their life. That's going to, in reality, for a lot of young boys, that's going to scare them. That's going to shock them. That's going to terrify them because they're not going to know what the heck is going on here. And then with that, they're going to have such a disconnect with the actual real person. They're never going to be able to connect with anybody. You've seen all this fake stuff. You're around all this fake madness, and you're never going to be able to connect with anybody, especially if you run into the situation that you're always thinking and trusting in a specific woman out here that is an adulterous woman, that is a prostitute-ish woman. I don't know if that's the correct way of saying that, but you're kind of looking at her as if like that's the model for all the rest of them. So then you go out and try to treat everybody like that, and then you're going to run into the situation of realizing like you're not going to be able to have no kind of connection with anybody. Those connections are all fake. These girls are all saying, "Oh yeah, I like you. You're cool. You're awesome. You're cute," because you're giving them money, because you're paying them. Because that's what they're supposed to do to make sure they can drain everything from you. And then you go and see a real girl that isn't paying you, that is like looking at you for like, what are you actually going to start doing for me? As opposed to like just giving me money so that you can see my body. But like, let's build a house. Let's get a couple of cars. Let's figure out what we're doing here. Let's have some children. And you're going to get completely just thrown off and thrown away from what actual reality is. Because that these girls are not, that's not how they act. That's not what they're all about. But today, we're making that so normal that it's almost like majority of girls today are all about this stuff. Majority. And it's crazy. And I can say that with much confidence because I could just watch the whole simple concept of how all these girls are out here, these ladies are just like, oh, you got to pay for this and pay for this and buy me this and buy me this. Like, that is prostitution. That is 100% what that is. I'm not going to go on this drink date or coffee drink or walk date or none of these dates. You need to buy me this and take me out and buy me my Uber back and forth and do this and tip this and do that. And that is prostitution. That has just become like the normal today, where girls are thinking like that's just what's expected today. That's what it's supposed to be like today. And that is so disturbing. That's so backwards. That is so messed up. That is so just absolutely disastrous. That is just setting you up for realizing what I already know what you're going to have in the future. Nothing. You are. That's just what it is, because you're not going to find the real guy. You're going to find the guy that's going to do that for a little bit, but then he's going to get sick of you. Because he's going to realize this isn't fun. I'd rather go over there and do that with her because she's younger and prettier. She's older and prettier. She's older and even more unattractive than you. But she's easier to deal with than you. She's more comfortable and more relaxed to be with than you. He's like, I'm going to take my money and put it there and do that over there instead. They're just going to keep bouncing all around. That's why a lot of these girls, I hear it from you and I watch it from you, and it's interesting where I should, like, in a way feel bad, but I kind of just don't, because you're putting yourself in a situation to just keep on struggling, to keep on hurting, to keep on being damaged by doing these things. You're like, where are all the real guys at? How come they just date me for 2 months and use and abuse me and then move on? Because you allow them to. You gave them that access. You told them what you wanted up front. Buy me this, buy me this, buy me this. So the guys in his brain automatically says, prostitute, prostitute, prostitute. Okay, I'll buy you that stuff so I can get access to what I want. And when I'm sick or tired of you because I just don't want to pay for you no more, I'm going to go over to this other one. And they're just going to drop you in an instant. No goodbye, no nothing, no, just gone, out of your life, exited, complete, done, finished. They don't care, because you're putting those expectations up front. When you're saying to him, I need this and you need this and you got to be like this and you got to be like this, he says, oh, okay, I'll give you what you want short term. And then he's just going to move on, because he's like, I bought you for a week, I bought you for a month, I bought you for a year. Now I'm going to go buy something else because this is getting old. I don't want to continue to keep on messing with this. It gets old after a while. The first few times you're with somebody, first time you're hanging out, super excited, super fun. It's just, woo, we're having fun. This is amazing. This is nice. But that's going to fade away. And when that fades away, he's like, next one. But a lot of your girls can't handle that because you can't deal with that in your brain in a way because it doesn't work that way. And especially when you're at a certain circumstance where you're trying to look for a long-term partner, you start putting more and more and more demands on, which makes it more and more that you're displaying yourself as being a prostitute even more and more and more. Because you're like, he needs this and this and this and this and this. And that's just, that guy's just saying, okay, well, that's what I got to have to be able to buy you for the weekend, and that's what I'll pay you. And he's going to pay it. He will, because he's stuck. He's stuck in that seductive way. It's stuck in that lustful things. It's stuck in that, in the path of just, I'm saying the hardest thing for a guy and a girl to figure out how to be able to get out of. It's the hardest stuff. So when he needs it and he's desiring it and he's at the absolute, I got to have this or I'm not going to be able to function, he's going to pay for it. He's going to buy you, and he's going to buy you, and he's going to pay you, and he's going to happily pay you, and he's going to even tip you a few times and pay you. He's going to buy you some extra stuff and buy you, and then it's going to get boring, and he's gone. He's going to go off and do that to something else and someone else. It doesn't even matter what they even look like when they go. They're just going to go towards the most ease of access that they can get, and that's something that a lot of people girls don't understand. Man, why would he leave me for that just nasty looking, that's a funny thing to me that happens, that goes on. Because maybe the fact that you are very, very challenging to be with, a very hard person to be around. That he's like, I'd rather be with something that's going to be much easier for me to just be able to work with. It's much easier for me to be able to communicate with. Much easier for me to be able to hang out with. Instead of having to deal with all these problems, having to set up an appointment to figure out how to be able to be with you because you got 5 other dudes that you're trying to figure out dancing between, figuring out how to be able to get with which one you want. You're setting up for absolute failure. And if you're putting yourself out there for prostitution, expect to be treated as such. If you're looking like that, expect to be treated as such. If you're displaying yourself out there, putting everything on to look exactly as what these prostitutes look like when they walk up and down these streets, expect to be treated that way. Expect to. You're going to be treated as you look. The police officer that shows up to my house, they wear a specific uniform so that they look a certain way. But when he's not in uniform and he's just wearing his regular clothes, I'm not going to treat him as a police officer. But when he is it, I'm going to say he is that. When a firefighter is wearing his firefighter suit, I'm going to say he is that. A doctor, when he's wearing his doctor's clothing, I'm going to say he is that. But when he's not wearing that, I'm going to say, okay, he's off duty. But if you're wearing the attire for what it looks like that you're going to work for, expect to be treated as such. If I see a guy that's got a nice long white jacket on, he's got his thing that says doctor, I'm going to call him doctor. Hey, you a doctor, huh, aren't you? You sure are a doctor. And if you dressed out here looking like an absolute hooker, looking like a prostitute, expect that someone is going to say that to you. Stop getting it in your mind, I should be able to wear what I want, I should be able to do what I want. That is so silly. I can't go out there and put a police uniform on and start walking up and down the streets. That is false representation, and I would get jammed up and get in trouble for that. I can't go up and down and just put book doctor stuff on. I can't put a specific suit on with specific lettering on and make me look like I'm a lawyer or some sort. I can't go out and do things like that because it's going to be a misrepresentation. I get jammed up for such a thing. And it's the same thing with what you're wearing and what you're displaying to the world. You can only wear certain things, or you're going to get perceived to be something and look like something, and you are going to be treated as such. And stop thinking that you should be treated differently because of, oh, my attitude is different, but your dress is the same. So if your dress is the same as the rest, then you're going to get treated as the same as the rest. I don't care what your attitude is. I don't care what school you've gone to. I don't care anything about what you've done. If you look the part, you are the part. Period. That's all that it is. And if you're hanging out with the people that look the part and even act the part, and you're just like, no, those are my friends and I don't act like that, you're a liar. Because those wouldn't be your friends. You couldn't be friends with such. I couldn't be friends with people that are just selling drugs all day. I couldn't be friends with people that are just running up and down the streets and doing home evasions all the time. I couldn't be friends with people that are just stealing cars all the time. I couldn't be friends with them. I couldn't. I don't care if I knew them my entire life, I hung up with them, I did this, and they took a path of doing that. I am no longer your friend. I'm no longer affiliated with you. I no longer know you. Because I no longer ever want to be in my future, in my life, for someone to say that I do what they do because it is what they do. Oh, you're best friends with them. You hang out with them. You go to the bar with them. You do this with them. So you must do what they do. No, I'm going to separate myself. And that's something that some people really need to just grow up and understand. Separate yourself from what you don't want to be a part of. Separate yourself from what you don't want people to think who you are and what you are. And if you go a completely different route, then they're not going to think that that's who you are. But if you're hanging out with all that, that's what you are. And there's no way around that. That is just what it is. Because that's the information, that's the conversation, that's the feedback that's going to constantly keep getting to you. For me to do what I do and hanging out with guys that are constantly stealing cars, the only conversation we're going to have is how to steal cars, how to do it better, how to get a better one, what's the best one, which one to get better keys from, where can I get this from. That's going to be the conversation that's going on. That's what's going to be happening majority of the time. Not all the time, but majority of the time. That's the stuff that's happening. So that is just what it is. If I'm hanging out with a bunch of guys that are just always on the street, like this is a group of guys that I used to know. A group of guys that just would always have a different girl every single night. They were just like, this is what they did. And then when I was hanging with them, then I'm looked to be that same. There's no way that I'm not, because that is what they do. So when I'm with them and I'm collected and I'm standing with them and I'm hanging with them, I do the same thing as them. So if you want to be different, get yourself away from what it is that you see that you don't want to be and go on and do something different. And or get to a group of people that are doing what it is that you want to be known as and classified as and treated as. You want to be treated like a lady? Go find some. Go around some ladies. Go around some women. Go around the real ones that are trying to present themselves to the world as being that. Not representing and showing themselves to the world as trying to be a prostitute or a hooker or any sort. Go find that. Because when you get to that, you're going to be known and classified as that. You're going to be a clear distinction of who that is, who you are. And that's something that is just so maddening to me today. Of, oh, I should be able to have my friends and this and that. No, you can't, unfortunately. It just is what it is. And I don't care if you like it or you don't like it. That's just the way that the world is. Things aren't set up for us to just always like everything and be able to do whatever the heck we want to do all the time. No, there's commands that we need to follow and pay attention to. And that's how you're going to be able to find the freedom and the peace and whatever it is that you're looking for in reality. That the more and more you start paying attention to it, you're going to find it. You're looking for a husband, stay by the commands. You're looking for a wife, stay by the commands. You're going to find what you're looking for. It's going to come to you. There's no way that it's not going to. And it's going to be able to teach you how to be able to stay away from destructive, disastrous things. I wish I would have knew this when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. I wish I would have knew it, especially when I was 17 years old. I wish I would have knew more and more about this and read all the first 10 Proverbs of this and had a very good understanding of it. I wouldn't have set up my life the way that it's been set up already. It would have been completely different. I wouldn't have allowed people to be able to, girls to be able to suck me and push me and just get me on talking a certain way and acting a certain way and trying to do certain things. I just looked at it and said, oh no, I can see what you're doing. That's disgusting. Get the heck away from that. I'm not going to deal with that. It's disgusting. It's not right. It's nasty. And when you really think about it, when you really think about the concept of somebody being with so many different people all the time and displaying themselves and broadcasting themselves to the whole world to be able to see them all the time, it's disgusting. It's the nastiest thing possible. And it's something that we should always be thinking about. Would you want your son or your daughter to be with somebody like that? Then why would you want to be with somebody and do something like that with somebody like that? We need to stay the heck away from stuff like this, and we need to fight it and fight it and fight it as absolutely much as possible. And with that, I just want to say thank you for a very interesting week this week that it's been challenging, I'm going to say. Challenging in a very interesting way of trying to make sure that I can continue to keep on doing what it is that I'm doing without any sort of hiccup and not getting any sort of negative thoughts, I guess is what I can say. Just moving forward. Just continue to keep digging deep, moving forward with doing what it is that I know I need to do and not caring about something that wants to try to stop me from doing what it is that I'm doing. And in reality, I don't know what it is lately that I've been playing with this YouTube stuff and I'm just kind of fascinated with it in a way of realizing that I can say specific words and it can make you be seen more, and you can say other words and it can make you not be seen more. And it's kind of interesting to me to kind of try to push that button a little bit more to see what it is that I can do and see what it is that how this actually works, to figure out what actually is the topics that people need to hear, because the messages that don't get pushed, the messages that don't go viral are the ones that people need to hear. But the ones that do go viral and the ones that do get pushed everywhere, we don't need to hear that. That's just it's more likely some information that just isn't valid in any sort of way. So it's very interesting to me. You come out with some slander, you come out with some talk about someone, talk bad about somebody, it gets pushed real far. So it's a very interesting thing of how it works, that I know that it's not the people that are even able to make a message get seen. It's the YouTube itself that's very, very powerful. And I'm trying to figure out who actually runs it. And it's a cool thing for me to play with and be able to experience. And I greatly appreciate being able to use it and being able to study it, be able to pay very close attention to it, and be able to upload my stuff to it. I'm very, very thankful for that. But it's interesting to me to figure out like who's actually running this, who's actually the one that's pushing the buttons to allow things to go, and how do they know so well like what everything's being said? Because I'm saying the most powerful messages I think I've ever heard and ever listened to, like 5 people have seen it, and then I see one that's got like 35 million views, and I'm just like, that was just absolute meaningless. That was just that actually was very, very misleading, and it had some truth in there, but there's a lot of like it's beating around the bush with it, not giving you the full effect of exactly what's happening here. So it's something very interesting that I greatly appreciate being able to just play with. And I'm so thankful to just keep doing what it is that I'm doing, realizing that sometimes in some things that I say, it's not all going to be just a woohoo, girl, you good to go, woohoo, man, you awesome, you the best of the best. That's not going to help anybody. What's going to help somebody is telling them the hard truths and the hard facts and the hard things of just the reality of what it is. That things suck, and there's some stuff we're doing that maybe we need to get away from, maybe we need to not be paying attention to, and deal with that hard road of figuring out how to be able to get past it right here, right now, as opposed to just thinking that everything is okay and everything is good to go. It's a hard message, but that's the message that I know for a fact that Jesus was spreading, because that's what he was saying and that's what he was doing. Everywhere that he went, they wanted to kill him. Not because he was doing miracles, not because he was healing people. No, because he was teaching some stuff that was hard, that was very hard. It was straight in people's faces. It was calling them a hypocrite right to their face. He was challenging them really, really harshly. Not because he was saving people. That's the reason that he was able to stay alive. Is because all the people were like, "Oh, he's doing miracles. He's healing. He's doing this. He's bringing the sight back. He's doing these fantastic things." So that's the only reason he was able to stay alive. But as far as what he was teaching some hard things to be able to figure out how to be able to get through. Because sometimes when you get talked to in a way that it's just straight in your face and it's talking straight and directly to you, and it's time for you to make a decision to do something different, it's hard. It's really hard. And a lot of times you just want to shut it down, shut it away. And that's what they wanted to do to him. That's what all those Pharisees and all those people wanted to do to Jesus. Shut this guy up, because we don't know how to deal with them. We don't know how to accept them. We would rather shut him up than deal with what our problems actually are. And that's something that we really need to start to get away from, and continue to realize that we've done that before and we're doing that again today. Stop running away from the hard message that is actually going to be able to help you out, and get into just dealing with it and moving forward with it. Thank you.